Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast European Stories from a Union of Volunteers. The guest from this week's episode is currently volunteering in Genova, Italy. He comes from Oxford and started his 11-month project at an education center 4 months ago. By the end of the ESC project, he hopes to stay in Italy for some time and then eventually initiate a master's degree in the field of history or maybe in something else entirely, depending on how this life-changing experience goes. Harry Trinder, thank you for joining us.
No, my pleasure.
So you've just started volunteering 4 months ago, not so long ago. First question, how did you come across this opportunity and the possibility to be part of the ESC project?
So I recently graduated in the summer just passed, and I always wanted to kind of do a volunteering project afterwards, and I was particularly interested in education, so I just used a platform on ESC to look at what opportunities they were. I had in mind to come to Italy because I wanted to. I mean, I love the lifestyle here, and I love it. I've loved it since I started to come a few years ago. Mm-hmm. So I knew I wanted to come here, and I found this project in Genova. I looked at a few other projects across Italy, and luckily enough, I found this one. Yeah.
And okay, you finished your bachelor degree, mm-hmm. but we're still in the middle of the pandemic. And where was that situation, or did it influence your decision in volunteering now?
No, not really. I mean, I always thought I always knew I wanted to come after graduating. So I suppose the pandemic didn't really influence my decision at all. I knew I wanted to be here. The pandemic maybe made it a bit more difficult on arrival and arranging travel and things. But no, I mean the pandemic hasn't really changed my. Didn't really influence my decision much.
I see.
I always knew, and after studying for 4 years, I was excited to, try to do something in the real world, because after 4 years of studying, it can become quite, tedious and slightly alienating when you're just writing essays, and not actually working in the real world at all.
Yeah, I see. I agree completely. So basically, you just wanted to take a break off studies.
Yes.
And you decided this project because it was education related, right?
Yeah, yes.
Did it ever come to your mind to do something that wasn't related to education?
I mean, a little bit. I applied for as many things as I could to just have the opportunities, but a lot of the projects were to do with education, and education, has been something I've always thought I might do in the future. So I wanted to kind of get experience in that. I applied also for some work with migrants and refugees, but predominantly, yes, I wanted to do something in education.
Okay, and once you were accepted, then it was time to come back to Italy or to go to Italy.
Yeah, exactly.
When we arrived, what was the first thought that came to your mind?
I mean, I loved it. The first time, the first time I arrived in Genova, I loved the narrow streets here, and actually before I knew I was going to live in the area I do in Viepre, I would walk around. And I just was fascinated by the amount of different people and the different things going on, like strangers standing in doorways and just the craziness going on. And I thought I would love to live in this area. And it turns out I actually am, living on the street that I would walk through. So I suppose I was kind of amazed by the diversity and the craziness of this area of Genova. That I love it. I love it very much. Yeah.
Okay, I see. But how did you, or when were you wandering in the streets first, and the wanting to live there? Where were you living before then? Did you change?
Yeah, when I first arrived, I tested positive for COVID, and I was in quarantine for 3 weeks in the end. But after the 3 weeks, I was waiting for the return of my COVID test.
Okay.
But after 3 weeks in Italy, you're able to leave isolation without negative without a negative test. So I had a couple of days where I couldn't start work. I couldn't move into my accommodation with the other volunteers, just in case the result was positive. So I had 2 days of exploring Geneva without, knowing anyone here. I was having to kind of isolate, but I was able to walk around the streets. And in that time, I was wandering around and I saw this area and I loved it. So I suppose my experience when I first arrived was quite strange because I came to Italy wanting to volunteer, wanting to do things, but I arrived and I was positive for COVID.
Yeah.
And I had to isolate for 3 weeks. So I could only look out of my window and, dream about what Italy is going to be like rather than actually experience it.
Well, but now you're working, and that first initial boring part is over, or the quarantining part at least.
Yes.
And you ended up in the place that you wanted to live. So
yes.
That's a major positive sign. And so you already mentioned that the accommodation that you're staying is in the area that you like. How is it like? How's the house, and who are you living with?
So the house is lovely, very spacious. I live with 5 other volunteers. A couple one from the Basque Country, one from Catalonia, a Portuguese lady and a Slovakian, and also a Swiss guy. So a variety of different nationalities. The house is lovely. I really enjoy living here. It's nice, especially during COVID. I think the experience we've had to be with other people, to be able to socialize with each other, have dinners with each other. A lot of us stayed here for Christmas, so we had that experience of, a slight sense of normality, I suppose. But before COVID happened, that sort of life we had. So in that sense, it's been really nice. And also we all do similar work. Like some of us work with children, the other work with migrants or refugees. So the environment is nice. We seem to be very like-minded people. The volunteers you meet usually are very like-minded.
Yeah.
There's no kind of too crazy disagreements.
That's good.
No, I really like it. It's the first time I actually shared a room with someone, because even at university I have my private space. But still, it's worked out so well. We're very lucky with our accommodation and the space.
And if you get along with your roommate, then it's also, and if you respect each other, then it's okay.
Yes. And it's nice. It's been really enjoyable so far, and I love the people here.
You've created a small family during COVID.
Yes, exactly. And yes, it's so nice.
Okay, and you already started talking a little bit about the work that you and the other volunteers do. Would you like to develop a little bit more on what you're doing and with the kids that you're working with? What type of education do you do?
So I predominantly work with children from I suppose 6 to 15, maybe as the oldest, 16. And our role is to help the children in their schoolwork. So a lot of these children are second generation migrants. So maybe they've been here for only a few years themselves. So they're learning Italian and beginning to go to school, in a different country, which can be challenging. So we pick them up from school. We do schoolwork with them. But also we, do activities with them afterwards. And we've been told to act kind of as a role model, I suppose. Not a role model, like an older brother or older sister, and because maybe for second generation migrants, maybe they don't have too much family time, or they don't have their parents maybe don't have the opportunity to help them with the Italian work or the school work. So I suppose this is where we come in to try and help them and aid them with their education. But also there's a lot of time for play, which I really enjoy. I think it's so important to have this environment of play and enjoyment, and even if children don't speak, the same language, they all have the ability to play together. They have a common ground of wanting to have fun, and so in that sense, it's really nice. We also have lunch with them a few times a week. So it really is like a really nice environment, a very close environment. You're spending a lot of time with the children. And it's been, for me, so enjoyable so far, like very rewarding. And you really build a relationship with the children, right?
Yeah, you do. And I guess, or what I would like to point out from what you just said, the playing part, I think it's very important because you really don't need the language to play together. I mean, if you put the ball in front of the kids, then they would just play football or, well, whatever they want. And the other thing was that you are kind of a little bit of a older brother. And I actually, and from my point of view, I would assume that some of these migrants, maybe they don't have all the family living in Italy. So even if they do have a brother in their home countries or their countries of origin, they don't have so much contact with them. So I guess you being there is very good to help them have like a more of a brother figure more present. And so the thing you like the most about this work is the playing part with the kids. Like, what do you play with them?
I mean, a range of things. A lot of football, a lot of ball games, like TIG. TIG. Yes, like where you run in preso, where you tap the kid and you run away. I mean, a range of things, like, I suppose. A lot of just, like, running around and screaming, because the kids maybe have been at school for, a few hours. And especially during COVID, I think they don't have much opportunity to move around the school, and interact with the children. So maybe they turn up to the center and they're, full of energy. So just, like, running, screaming, dancing, whatever. But yeah, I really enjoy the element of play. Like, I think it's so important to do and to enjoy it, especially like these days where it's not as easy to do sports or to do activities outside schools because a lot of the centers are maybe closed or socializing isn't as easy to do. So in that sense, the play and enjoyment is so important. Yes.
Yeah. And besides all this great stuff, have you ever encountered any problems and that you had to overcome, or with the kids or in your project in general so far?
Yes, well, I suppose the main problem is a language barrier, right? Because through language, not only just with the children, but also like your experience in the city itself, like as a living here, language is a means, right? You communicate with people, your environment around you, and with the children, especially. So in this situation, the barrier or the disconnect between you and the person you're trying to communicate with can be quite difficult, and the experience you have with the outside world is more difficult if you're unable to understand the language well or communicate yourself well. There, I suppose at times I felt this kind of disconnect with the city, not in too much of a negative way, but it's like very, it's difficult to live in the city if you're unable to communicate well. So I suppose this is the continuous challenge, but it's an enjoyable challenge because learning a language is so practical, right? So, and like studying like history or a subject with studying a language, you feel the practical results like instantly.
Immediately.
Immediately. And it's difficult, like, but I suppose that is the main challenge, that I found here.
And how are you, or what are you doing to learn Italian specifically?
So we have. Unfortunately, we haven't enrolled at an international school yet. I think that is a plan, but it's they're either full or with COVID, I think it's difficult to enroll at the moment because there's like 13 of us volunteers in other houses, and so maybe we'll start an international school maybe next month or in the next few months. But we have like a teacher that we meet with maybe once a week, sometimes twice a week, just to speak with and communicate with, and ask problems if we have any problems. And then I suppose that you have to spend a lot of your own time trying to study, but also at work. We only, none of the children speak English, so you're speaking Italian most of the time. So it's the best way, right, to force you to speak. But I don't know if it would be different without COVID. If I assume we would have attended a school to learn more, like grammar and things like that. But so far, it's just purely through conversation that we're learning.
Yeah, I guess it depends a little bit on the association you're with.
Yes, yeah.
And do you happen to have any Italian word that you especially like?
Yes, so recently I saw this word, sprezzatura.
Okay, I don't know what it is.
And it means to do something artistic or amazing, but kind of to do it effortlessly. And yes, I don't know. I like the word. I like the sound, sprezzatura, but also the meaning. I suppose I liked the word first, and then I was like, "Okay, what does this mean?" And then I found the meaning second. But yeah. Yes, I like the word.
And in what situations do you use it?
I mean, I haven't actually used it. I don't think I have used it yet. I mean, it seems to be a silly word. Maybe I don't really like the meaning as much, but I don't know. It was something that, among many words, that are so beautiful to look at and have a deep meaning.
Oh, it's interesting because I didn't know this word. So yeah, nice. We're always learning.
Yes.
Okay. Now, on this new segment, imagine that you're at dinner with friends. And you're sharing your experiences about your volunteering until that point. And one thing that usually people like to share is the craziest story. So do you have, or would you be able to share one crazy story from your volunteering so far?
Well, I guess the crazy experience I had, me and a few friends, a couple of friends, we went to a party, I suppose, in an occupied house, and the experience was crazy just in terms of the people we saw, very, very different characters, very different music, and it was certainly a crazy experience. I feel an experience that I've never had before. Just in terms of the amount of different people that were there and the fun we were having. Yeah, so I suppose this.
But was it associated to any specific event?
No, it's just like a secret party, I guess, where you get the location whenever. And you have to make your way there on a funiculare, and then walk to the party, and then you don't know what the experience is going to be like until you walk through the door and you see.
It's a little bit like a treasure hunt.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
All right, that's nice. And okay, so now we're almost reaching out the end, and for this part, I have some checkout questions prepared. The first one. So far, how would you describe volunteering? Yeah, your project specifically in just one word.
In one word?
Yeah.
I suppose, it's been rewarding, but I don't think it's a very good word with just one word. But yeah, or maybe better, evolving, it's rewarding, but it's always evolving to new things and always learning new things. So I suppose in that way, it's a more fitting word, yes.
Okay. And as you are currently volunteering still, what is one thing that you expect to have in the next months of your project? Or one thing that you expect to do or to achieve?
I hope now that it's starting to be warmer here, and with, coming into spring, that we have more ability to, do activities outside together. Yes, I suppose more adventures, more activities in nature and things like that. And if we're optimistic about what is happening with COVID, maybe the restrictions will be eased, so we'll be able to do some adventures outside of Geneva. So I hope so in the next month or so that we can do that and experience, because we've predominantly been in the same center or like 2 or 3 centers for most of the time so far. And I think it's always so nice to experience a different place with the people you spend a lot of the time with in the same place. The change of environment can be so nice for everyone.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
and refreshing as well.
Yes.
And what does solidarity mean to you?
I like this question so much, actually. Yes. Because I don't know, for me, solidarity has always been something I've been like extremely, extremely interested in. Like at my time at university, even before and now, I spend a lot of time reading like utopian literature or a lot of communist literature. So I suppose in this sense, solidarity is like at the core of it. It's a continuous theme in it. And I suppose for me, solidarity is an action, not something like that is static, but a continuously developing, an action that's always evolving to your own personal experience and the experience of other people around you. And you can, through this solidarity, you create community with those around you. So I suppose in this way, yes, the idea of solidarity as an action and being able to take into consideration other people's experience that may be different to yours. Like, for example, I suppose my experience in Geneva, you spend a lot of time with the children or people. The people here, we all share the same space, right? But we may have had different experiences. We're having different experiences and opportunities here. But the fact that we share the same space gives us the opportunity to act in a way that creates a feeling of community, a feeling of solidarity, of compassion. And with the children, I suppose that is the important thing if they maybe have had difficulties before or have difficulties now, to create an environment that is safe and secure for them. And so in that sense, solidarity can be amazing for just personal relations, like on a small scale between, me and you, between me and a child, whoever you come into contact with continuously. But it also has a power to, if we all think like this, if we all share that feeling of action and solidarity, it can be something greater than just, personal, well, maybe not greater, but it can go beyond just the experience of me and one other, It can really create a positive result on a larger scale.
Definitely. And the last question, what song would you select now to represent your volunteering so far?
There's a song actually that is played often in my house. Ma il cielo è sempre più blu. Yes. I'm sure you know, and I think also for learning Italian is good, but it's also a great song. Like the person I share the room with, I think he maybe knows all the words, and every now and then he bouts out the song, and it's an enjoyable experience. Like if we have people over and the song comes on, some people know some of the words
and start dancing.
Everyone knows the main line, right? And it's nice because it's a beautiful song.
Yeah, even though the sky is not always blue.
No, but at the moment, this week in Geneva, it's very blue, so it's fitting right now.
Okay, so it's fitting now. Okay, thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck with the rest of your project.
Thank you,
and for you to enjoy other Italian songs, hopefully, because there are so many. Yeah. And thank you to listeners for joining in for this episode. Don't forget to listen to the song on our playlist. You can check the link on the show notes. And next week we have a new episode with our other host, Paula. So stay tuned and ciao.